What is going on, everybody? We are reacting to a video called "Every Conspiracy Theory Explained in 24 Minutes." Looks like we got a pretty interesting lineup here. 9/11, moon landing, Freemason, Air 51, chemtrails, vaccines, and Epstein. All right, let's get into it.
The 9/11 conspiracy theory suggests that the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks were either deliberately orchestrated by the US government or they allowed it to happen in order to justify military interventions in domestic policies. While the official account attributes the attacks to the Islamic extremist group Al Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden, many conspiracy
I think it was the government, truly, because I always see those videos. Like I believe in this theory, where like the videos of the like mini explosions at the bottom where the plane actually didn't hit and it just collapses by itself. I believe in the theory where there were actually bombs planted, and I believe it was orchestrated by the U.S. government for I don't know the reason. I think it was financial reasons, but yeah, that's the theory I believe in.
theorists argue that the true story is far more complex and nefarious. These theories propose several alternative explanations, with some claiming that the US government, specifically figures within the Bush administration, were involved in a false flag operation to provoke public support for wars in the Middle East, specifically in Afghanistan and Iraq, and others believe that intelligence agencies, like the CIA, had
Not financial reasons, political reasons. I meant.
foreknowledge of the attacks and either failed to act or intentionally ignored the threats. A key aspect to the conspiracy focuses on the collapse of the Twin Towers in the nearby World Trade Center 7 building. Theories argue that controlled demolitions and not the impact of the planes or the resulting fires caused the buildings to fall. Architects, engineers, and demolition experts are often cited by believers of this conspiracy to back up their claims. Additionally, some theorists believe that the Pentagon was not hit by a commercial plane, but by a
Yeah, it was like a missile planted or not missile launch from a different thing from a different area.
missile, and that evidence, such as surveillance footage, was withheld. The 9/11 conspiracy theories began gaining momentum shortly after the attacks, driven by skepticism of the official 9/11
There's
Commission
just so many
reports and the
like
rapid spread
there's just so many holes in all the evidence that they presented to us. Well, I wasn't alive during it, but like I always see it during like September during school and stuff, and it's just, dude, I just I just don't believe that it was just orchestrated by an extremist religion. I believe that it was orchestrated by the U.S. government for political reasons.
of alternative explanations that rose from the internet. Films like Loose Change and websites such as 9/11 Truth also helped make these ideas popular. Despite extensive investigations debunking these claims, the theories continue to resonate with a portion of the public, often fueled by broader distrust of the government, media, and official narratives. The moon landing conspiracy theory centers on the claim that NASA faked the
Moon landing was fake. We've never been to the moon. Never. Never been to the moon.
Apollo moon landings in 1969. According to people who believe in this theory, the US government staged the landing in order to win the space race against the Soviet Union, boost national morale, and assert technological dominance during the Cold War. They argued that the landings, specifically the Apollo 11 mission, in which Neil Armstrong
I know people say like when people say, okay, it's not real. Why don't we just go back? And then people argue back with like, oh well, we have no reason to go back. We have no reason to do anything. We don't have reason to go. We don't have reason to go explore more of the moon and go set up these different sites and all this other stuff. Like, dude, we would go back if we would go back. We would go back if we could. Let's be honest here. We would be setting up with all the technology of trying to get to Mars. We would be literally trying to set up sites on the moon to like expand our civilization or something.
and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to walk on the moon, were filmed on Earth, possibly in a studio. This conspiracy
It was
theory
a
began
studio.
circulating in the early 1970s, shortly after the Apollo 11 mission, and a 1974 book by Bill Kaysing called We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle, is credited with popularizing the idea. Kaysing, a former employee of a NASA contractor, claimed to have inside knowledge and cited supposed inconsistencies in the moon landing footage and photographs. He argued that the US lacked the technology to safely land on the moon and return. Key arguments of moon landing hoax believers include
Yeah, wait, when was the moon landing? Like 40, 50 years ago? There's no way we had the technology 40 or 50 years ago to land on the moon. There's just no way.
inconsistencies in the photos and videos, such as the lack of stars in the sky, the way shadows appear, and the
Sorry.
way that the American flag seems to wave in the airless environment of the moon. They also question why no
Yeah,
further
the
manned
flag
missions have
waving.
occurred since Apollo 17. The theory gained traction over the decades through documentaries, books, and later the internet, and this conspiracy taps into a broader distrust of government and authority figures. And despite extensive evidence debunking
This is a
this
great
theory,
video, by the way.
including rock samples, telemetry data, and
Uh,
testimonies from
yeah, Jaden
astronauts, it remains
history.
prominent for many who believe in
Yeah,
conspiracy
go check this
theories.
video
The
out. Go check his
JFK
channel out.
assassination conspiracy theory revolves around the belief that President John F. Kennedy's assassination on November 22, 1963, was not the work of a lone gunman, but rather the result of a larger, more sinister plot. The official accounts, based on the Warren Commission's investigation,
I
concluded
don't
that
have
Lee
anything to
Harvey
say about
Oswald
this one.
acted alone in shooting Kennedy from the Texas School Book Depository in Dallas, Texas. However, many believe this explanation is incomplete or a cover-up. Conspiracy theories began almost immediately after the assassination, fueled by conflicting reports and the sudden murder of Oswald by a nightclub owner, Jack Ruby, 2 days later. Skeptics question how Oswald, a relatively unknown figure, could have orchestrated the killing of such a high-profile target alone. Some theorists argue that multiple gunmen were involved, pointing to the grassy knoll as a second possible
I
shooting.
mean, it's not that, I guess, wouldn't be that difficult. Just like figuring out your spot. I mean, you know he's gonna come down that road, and you know what car he's in, because the top's literally down. You can see directly. It's just a matter of figuring out which building to get, figuring out your escape plan, and figuring out how to actually aim the gun and learning how to be that precise.
Location. Numerous conspiracy theories emerged, bringing in various different people and organizations into the assassination, including the CIA, the FBI, the Soviet Union, and even Kennedy's own vice president, Lyndon B. Johnson. Many believe the government covered up crucial evidence, such as medical records and surveillance footage, to conceal the true perpetrators and their motives, which
Yeah, when the government does that, they just cover up all these things. It just makes them look more suspicious. Like, just don't say you have more evidence. Just keep it secret if it's going to be secret.
ranged from stopping
But there
Kennedy's
are going
foreign
to be people that
policies
leak it.
to preventing his re-election. The release of the Zapruder film in 1975, showing Kennedy's head snapping backward after the fatal shot, intensified public skepticism of the official narrative. The U.S. House Select Committee on Assassinations later reinvestigated the case in the late 1970s and concluded that there was a probable conspiracy, although it upheld much of the Warren Commission's findings. The JFK assassination conspiracy theory remains one of the most debated events in modern history, with new theories continuing to emerge and attract public interest. The Flat Earth conspiracy theory is the belief that the Earth is not a globe, as commonly accepted by science, but instead is flat. Believers of this conspiracy argue that governments, space agencies, and scientists have been lying about the true shape of the Earth in a massive
Oh, hold up. I think this conspiracy is half silly and what might be slightly controversial, and half a little bit more valid. Now, I'm just gonna let it play out, but there are some valid points to this conspiracy.
conspiracy, possibly for financial gain or to maintain control over the populace. According to this theory, the Earth is a flat disk with the North Pole at its center and Antarctica as an ice wall that surrounds the edges, preventing people from falling off. Although the idea of a flat Earth dates back to ancient civilizations, it was debunked by scientific discoveries, including those of the Greek philosopher Pythagoras and later astronomers like Copernicus and Galileo. The modern flat Earth theory, however, re-emerged in the mid-20th century, most notably with Samuel Robotham's book, Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe, which laid the groundwork for flat Earth beliefs in the modern era. The theory gained renewed attention in the 2000s with the rise of the internet, with flat Earth conventions.
Now, when people say, like, oh, the Earth's a cube, now that's just where it gets ultra silly, dude. Like, there's no way you would think it's a globe or a cube if you've ever been in an airplane before. Literally, just go on an airplane, you just look out your window. If you're high enough, you'll be able to see there's some circular to it. Now, it could be a dome.
And groups such as the Flat Earth Society, contributing to its spread. Supporters point to so-called inconsistencies in photos of Earth from space, unusual flight paths, and what they consider to be faulty scientific assumptions about gravity and the horizon.
Yeah, like, who knows? Wait, let me go back to that.
To its spread. Supporters point to so-called inconsistencies in photos of Earth from space.
Like, who knows? Maybe it's gonna sound silly, but like maybe look at this. What if this is just like a picture? Say this is the Earth. What if this is a picture from this view? Like the camera is the head of my fist here. It's just pointing down at this section. It could be flat. The rest of it could be flat over here in just a big circular shape.
Unusual flight paths, and what they consider to be faulty scientific assumptions about gravity and the horizon. Despite overwhelming evidence proving the Earth is round, including satellite images, GPS technology, and centuries of scientific research, this theory still persists on. The Illuminati conspiracy theory claims that a secretive, powerful group known as the Illuminati.
Yeah, all I know about the Illuminati is that there's just the. I feel like it's the tip of the iceberg, really. I think it goes a lot deeper, and there's a lot. It just goes down to people we've never even heard of, and they're just controlling the world.
Controls world events and governments, aiming to establish a new world order. According to believers, this hidden elite manipulates political, financial, and social systems to consolidate power, create global instability, and exert total control over humanity. The theory often alleges that influential figures, such as politicians, celebrities, and business leaders, are members of the shadowy organization. The origins of the Illuminati lie in a real historical group founded in Bavaria in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, a professor who sought to promote Enlightenment ideals of reason, secularism, and equality. However, this original Illuminati disbanded by the late 1780s due to government repression. Despite its dissolution, the myth of a secret Illuminati society persisted, particularly after being linked to other secretive organizations like the Freemasons. The modern Illuminati conspiracy began to gain traction in the 1960s and 70s, fueled by countercultural movements and books like the Illuminatis trilogy by Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea. In this satirical work, the Illuminati was portrayed as a global group, mixing fact and fiction in a way that captivated conspiracy theorists. Over time, the theory evolved, suggesting that the Illuminati orchestrates wars, controls the banking system, and even manipulates cultural trends, such as the entertainment industry and technology. The internet, specifically in the 1990s and 2000s, played a major role in spreading the Illuminati theory.
I
Symbols
don't
like
have
the
much on
all-seeing
this
eye or the
conspiracy.
pyramid, which appear on the US dollar bill, are
Besides this, like, what is this, bro? It's the Illuminati. But like, why would they put this on here if it doesn't mean anything? Have they does the government explain what this means? I'm assuming if they have, it's probably just a cover-up theory or a cover-up explanation. But this is just I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg, really.
are often cited as evidence of the Illuminati's influence. Pop culture icons have been falsely accused of being Illuminati members, reinforcing the theory's presence in modern discourse. The Freemason conspiracy theory revolves around the idea that
Oh, I've seen this all over TikTok. All over TikTok.
Freemasonry, a fraternal organization with roots in medieval guilds, is a secretive, powerful group that manipulates world events and governments from behind the scenes. The origins of Freemasonry as a conspiracy date back to the 18th
I
century.
feel like this goes Illuminati, Freemasonry, and then there's a ton of other stuff.
Organization became more public and influential in Europe and America. Initially, Freemasonry was a network of craftsmen and builders who emphasized moral teachings, personal development, and brotherhood. However, its secretive rituals, symbols, and exclusive membership sparked much suspicion.
Sub
The
to my
anti-Masonic
Twitch.
movements gained momentum in
And
the
then,
late 18th and
or not
early
sub,
19th
follow my Twitch.
centuries, particularly after the disappearance
And
of
like and
William Morgan,
subscribe
a man who
on my
threatened to
YouTube,
expose the
please.
secrets of Freemasonry in
appreciated.
1826, which led to widespread paranoia in the US. Conspiracy theories about Freemasons gained further prominence in the 19th century as anti-Masonic political parties formed, and later, in the 20th century, when totalitarian regimes, like Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, targeted Freemasons, accusing them of being part of a global plot for domination. Freemason conspiracies often involve claims that their members hold key positions of power in government, finance, and influential institutions. Symbols associated with Freemasonry, such as the square and compass, the all-seeing eye, and pyramids, are often cited as proof of their hidden influence. Despite
Like
being a
what
charitable
Freemasons are.
organization focused on personal
I try to like look up explanations on TikTok, and I just never can find one. I guess that's the success of the Freemasons like cover up thing, as nobody really knows what they are.
growth, the secrecy surrounding their meetings and rituals
pyramid.
has allowed Freemason conspiracy theories to thrive. The Area 51 conspiracy theory is centered around the belief that the US government is hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life and
I think it was like 3 videos back. We looked at uh an alien conspiracy with Moist Critical, and I said that there is definitely aliens inside of Area 51, and I stand on that.
Advanced alien technology at a highly classified military facility in Nevada. Area 51, officially known as Groom Lake, is a remote site used by the U.S. Air Force for testing
Yeah, look at this. Oh crap.
experimental aircraft.
Look at this right here. There is probably miles of tunnels underneath this, and just acres and acres of just underground facilities that they're just testing on. And this is probably just maybe it's just like a little thing that the government holds just to capture for the regular people, just to get them holding on this part when they probably have like a whole another facility where a piece of a mountain moves or something crazy like that
And weapons systems. The conspiracy
somewhere
theory
else that we
alleges
have
that,
no
in
idea.
addition to military testing, Area 51 is the storage and research hub for crashed UFOs, alien bodies, and secret extraterrestrial technology. The theory gained momentum in 1974 after the infamous Roswell incident, when a mysterious object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. While the US military claimed it was a weather balloon, conspiracy theorists have long
Not a weather
suspected that
balloon.
it was actually a UFO, and that wreckage and alien remains were transported to Area 51 for study. In the following decades, secrecy surrounding the facility fueled speculation about what was happening inside. In 1989, a man named Bob Lazar claimed he had worked on reverse engineering alien spacecraft at a facility near Area 51, further popularizing the theory. Lazar's accounts of advanced propulsion systems and extraterrestrial technology being studied by the government ignited public curiosity and cemented Area 51 as a focal point of UFO conspiracy culture. Area 51's secretive nature, restricted airspace, and heavily guarded perimeter have only added to the allure. Sightings of strange lights, unidentified flying objects, and unusual
Yeah, but this is all just plans from the U.S. government to just keep everybody focused on this when there's gotta be somewhere else in a more rural area, more probably like forestry area, or like a more mountain area of just straight aliens and other stuff we've never even heard of
aircraft around the
or
area
seen.
are often cited as evidence of extraterrestrial technology. The theory grew in popularity in the 1990s with the rise of the internet and media coverage, including TV shows like The X-Files. Despite official explanations that Area 51 is used for advanced aviation testing, the mystery around it continues to fascinate conspiracy theorists who believe the government is hiding the truth about alien life. The chemtrails conspiracy theory claims that the trails of condensation left by airplanes, known as contrails, are actually chemical agents being deliberately sprayed into the atmosphere by governments or shady organizations for covert purposes. According to believers, these chemtrails are part of secretive programs involving weather modification, population control, or biological warfare.
There's like a 0.1% chance of that. There's no way people actually like strongly believe in this. It's just the exhaust fumes of the chemical fumes of the airplanes, bro. It's not that deep.
Believers of this theory think that the chemicals dispersed could include toxins, heavy metals, or other harmful substances designed to manipulate human behavior, health, or the environment. Contrails, which are the condensation trails formed when water vapor in airplane exhaust condenses into ice crystals at high altitudes, have been a common sight since the early days of aviation. However, the chemtrails conspiracy began gaining traction in the mid-1990s when people started observing contrails that lingered
Oh,
in the
it's
sky
ice
longer than
crystals?
usual, spreading out into a thin haze. Conspiracy
I
theorists
didn't even know that. I
interpreted
thought
this
they
as
were like
evidence
just was
of
just like
chemical spraying
like a
rather than a
smoke.
natural occurrence. The internet and social media played a
That looks
significant
sick.
role in popularizing this theory, and some also linked the theory to geoengineering efforts, suggesting that chemtrails are being used to combat climate change by reflecting sunlight away from the Earth, although in a harmful or unethical way. Despite numerous scientific studies and expert explanations debunking the theory, stating that contrails are a well understood atmospheric phenomenon and that
Yeah, I
no
mean it's
evidence
just not
supports the
that deep. cheap.
presence of harmful
Let's be honest.
chemicals, the chemtrail theory persists. It remains a focal point for those skeptical of government transparency, scientific consensus, and environmental policies, often overlapping with broader anti-government and anti-globalization beliefs. The reptilian elite's conspiracy theory is the belief that a race of shape-shifting reptilian aliens, or reptoids,
Definitely,
have infiltrated human
definitely a W conspiracy. I don't know. Has it ever been proven wrong? No.
society and secretly control world governments,
Is there any evidence against it? Mm-mm. Is there any evidence for it? Maybe.
corporations, and other influential institutions. According to the theory, these reptilian beings can assume human form and have been manipulating global events for centuries to maintain control over humanity and establish a totalitarian world government. The theory was popularized in the 1990s by David Icke, a British writer and former sports broadcaster who claimed that many world leaders, including prominent figures such as the British royal family, US presidents, and other elites, are either reptilian themselves or are controlled by reptilians. Icke's work ties
Could
this
be.
conspiracy to ancient myths and legends of serpent-like creatures, as well as ideas about secretive societies and the Illuminati, suggesting that the reptilian elites are behind many of the world's conflicts, financial crises, and
Yeah,
social
I mean, another thing pointed back to the Illuminati. Tip of the iceberg, tip of the iceberg.
issues. Believers of this theory often claim that reptilians feed on human suffering and fear, which is why they engineer wars, political turmoil, and disasters.
Makes
Some even
sense.
believe that the reptilians are interdimensional beings that possess advanced technology and psychic abilities, allowing them to manipulate human consciousness. Signs of their presence are found in ancient texts, cultural symbolism, and even the physical characteristic of certain people, such as cold-bloodedness or unusual behavior. The reptilian conspiracy gained momentum through the internet, which included footage of public figures whose eyes seem to momentarily change or glitch. Despite being widely dismissed by scientists and skeptics as pure fantasy, the theory remains
Yeah, but who's controlling those scientists? The lizards. The lizard people. That's who's controlling them.
popular for those who believe in conspiracy theories. The Big Pharma suppressing cures conspiracy theory alleges that large pharmaceutical companies, often referred to as Big Pharma, intentionally suppress or withhold cures for diseases such as cancer, AIDS, and
Yeah, this
diabetes
is a
to
big
maintain
one.
profits from selling treatments and
Mm-hmm.
medications.
Mm-hmm.
According to this theory, instead of providing
I
permanent
believe in this
cures,
one.
pharmaceutical companies prefer to offer expensive, long-term treatments that
Yep.
generate continuous revenue. The theory suggests
There's
that cures
definitely a
either already
cure.
exist or could be developed, but are being kept secret by pharmaceutical companies,
Yes.
governments, and regulatory agencies. Believers argue that the financial incentives for Big Pharma to suppress cures are immense, given the billions of dollars made each year
But I feel like
from
there would
chronic
already be a
illness
leak.
treatments. They believe that a one-time cure would not be as profitable as lifetime dependency on
Mm-hmm.
medications, which keeps patients reliant on drugs and treatments that manage symptoms rather than eliminate the disease.
That's the problem,
Some conspiracy
man.
theorists even claim
Everybody's so money hungry. It's just getting crazy to this point. Like, I get like big business owners making regular money, like plumbing business owners or Amazon or small business owners or medium-sized business owners like McDonald's owners. That's the type of wealth I can understand, but like when you're holding life-changing medicine from millions and millions and millions of people for just more money, you're just evil at that point. It just goes so much deeper.
that researchers who discover potential cures are silenced, discredited, or forced to stop their work. This theory gained popularity in the late 20th century, fueled by growing distrust of large corporations and government institutions. High-profile controversies, such as cases where pharmaceutical companies have been fined for unethical practices, have deepened public suspicion. Additionally, the rise of the internet and social media allowed theorists to spread their ideas more widely, often highlighting anecdotal stories of alternative medicine practitioners who claim to have been suppressed by the medical establishments. Critics of the theory argue that there is no credible evidence supporting the claim that cures are being deliberately hidden, and they emphasize that scientific research is peer-reviewed and subject to public scrutiny, with breakthroughs in medicine, such as vaccines and new treatments, being widely shared. However, the theory persists, often overlapping with broader skepticism of corporate power, government oversight, and the healthcare industry's motives. The Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theory revolves
Here we go. Here we go. Big Pete, Big Palm Beach Pete. Here we go.
around the belief that Epstein, a wealthy financier and convicted sex offender, was part of a vast, powerful network that included elite individuals involving in illegal activity.
I'm still confused on how Jeffrey Epstein got his money. How did Jeffrey Epstein get his money? Can somebody help me answer that? How did he get his money? I'm still confused.
Such as child trafficking and sexual exploitation. Epstein was arrested in 2019 on
Could
federal
probably explain it.
charges of sex trafficking minors, and his death in a New York jail, ruled a suicide, fueled widespread
Nope, he's still
speculation
alive.
that he was murdered to
That's
prevent him
Palm
from
Beach
revealing
Pete.
damaging information about his influential associates. The conspiracy theory gained traction due to the high-profile nature of Epstein's connections, which included politicians, business leaders, and royalty. Some of the key figures linked to Epstein include Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, and many more. Many theorists argue that Epstein possessed compromising information on these individuals and others, leading to his supposed silencing. The abrupt nature of his death, the failure of security cameras at his cell, and inconsistencies in the official investigation created much speculation. This theory
He's
really
still
took off
alive.
after his death on August 10th, 2019, when the phrase Epstein didn't kill
Hang on. Look at those shoes. Holy cow. Those are called the lemon pepper steppers, dude. What are those?
speculation. This theory really took off after his death on August 10th, 2019,
The
when the
QZ
phrase
is
Epstein
tough,
didn't
though.
kill himself trended on social media. The theory rapidly spread across many social media platforms, driven by memes and viral posts that question the official narrative.
When was this
Theories
made?
range from the involvement of powerful politicians to intelligence agencies
1 year
covering up
ago?
a blackmail operation. The Epstein case
So
became
this guy
symbolic
doesn't.
of
This theory
distrust
doesn't
in
cover Palm Beach
institutions,
Pete.
reinforcing beliefs that powerful people
Mm-hmm.
operate with
Yeah.
impunity, shielded from legal consequences. The lack of accountability for Epstein's accomplices and the secrecy around his wealth and criminal activities helped sustain the conspiracy, which remains widely discussed even after official investigations closed. Theories persist about the extent of Epstein's criminal empire and the true cause of his death. The vaccines cause autism conspiracy theory claims that vaccines, particularly the MMR vaccine,
I wouldn't say they cause autism, but I don't think these vaccines, like when it was COVID, they they didn't work. I guarantee you, they just didn't work because I mean I got the vaccine because I had to go on a plane and I think I got COVID like 4 weeks later. So I just feel like they don't work.
are linked to the development of autism in children. This theory stems from a now discredited 1998 study led by British doctor Andrew Wakefield, who suggested that there may be a link between these two things. Despite numerous scientific studies refuting this claim, the conspiracy persists and has influenced public perceptions of vaccine safety. The theory gained traction when Wakefield's study was widely publicized, sparking fears among parents. The media coverage amplified the findings, despite the lack of evidence. In 2010, Wakefield was stripped of his medical license after it was revealed that his research was fraudulent, ethically compromised, and funded by groups pursuing lawsuits against vaccine manufacturers. His sample size was small, and no following research has validated his claims. Nonetheless, the damage was done, and anti-vaccine movements embraced the theory, with even high-profile celebrities promoting the idea, furthering its reach. Social media also played a significant role in the spread of the conspiracy, as online forums and groups created echo chambers where vaccine misinformation thrived. The theory resonated with some parents, seeking an explanation for the rising autism diagnosis rates, despite the fact that these increases are largely attributed to better diagnostic practices and awareness. The reluctance to vaccinate, spurred by this belief, has led to outbreaks of preventable diseases, such as measles, in communities with low vaccination rates. The theory remains a significant public health concern as it undermines confidence in vaccines, which are one of the most effective tools for preventing disease. Despite overwhelming scientific consensus debunking the link, the belief continues to influence vaccine hesitancy. The Pizzagate conspiracy theory emerged in
Pizzagate.
2016, falsely claiming that a child trafficking ring involving high-profile politicians, including members of the Democratic Party, was being operated out of a Washington, D.C. pizzeria called Comet Ping Pong. The theory originated from hacked emails of John Podesta,
this one's
Hillary
silly.
Clinton's campaign manager, which were released by WikiLeaks. Conspiracy theorists, particularly
I
on
mean,
platforms
maybe.
like 4chan and Reddit, misinterpreted and speculated about
Oh,
references
is
to
this the one?
pizza.
Was this a theory during the Hillary? What was that? Sorry, like the Hillary Trump election, where people started saying Hillary was killing children. I think that was the one, the Pizzagate theory, and there's a
The
scare
QAnon
test one.
conspiracy theory is the belief that global
QAnon.
elites, including politicians, celebrities, and business
I've heard of
leaders,
this one.
are involved in child trafficking, satanic rituals,
I
and other
mean,
forms of corruption. Central to the theory is the idea that Donald Trump was working to dismantle the group and expose their crimes. QAnon emerged in 2017 when an anonymous figure known as Q began posting cryptic messages, which were known as Q drops, on the online forum 4chan, claiming to be a high-ranking government
maybe.
insider with knowledge of this hidden war between Trump and the deep state. The conspiracy theory gained rapid popularity online, initially appealing to far-right and anti-establishment communities. Q's vague and coded messages invited followers to decode
You know what this all ties back to? The reptilian elites. Mm-hmm. All these theories just goes back to the reptilian elites, the reptiles, the lizards, the lizard people.
them, creating a sense of participation in uncovering the supposed truth. Followers believe in the Storm, a prophesized event where Trump will arrest and expose the members of this secretive group, leading to their downfall. Despite Trump's exit from office, the theory has evolved, with believers adjusting their narratives. This theory's popularity surged during the COVID-19 pandemic, as lockdowns and uncertainty fueled online engagement with conspiracies. QAnon also tapped into pre-existing conspiracy theories, including Pizzagate, and amplified fears about elite corruption and child exploitation. The movement has had real-world consequences, with some followers engaging in violent acts, most notably the January 6, 2021 US Capitol insurrection. Although Q has stopped posting, the conspiracy theory continues to thrive among certain communities. It has been debunked repeatedly by fact-checkers, but its followers remain committed, often seeing New World events as evidence of the hidden war they believe in.
What's
The
next?
COVID-19 hoax conspiracy theory is the
Yeah.
belief that the global pandemic, which began in late
It was a bat, I think, from China. And got bit, send it over here, whatever, yada yada yada. I don't know. Let's read it. Let's see.
2019 was either exaggerated or entirely fabricated by governments, media,
Fabricated.
and powerful elites to control populations, infringe on civil liberties, or advance hidden agendas. Some versions of the theory claim that the virus itself is fake, while others argue that it exists, but its severity was deliberately overstated. Central to the
And wasn't it debunked that like the 6 feet thing was just bogus? It was just BS. Like that's part of like yeah, and it was like said that like you didn't actually need to shut down schools, work. I feel like it was all just so rich, like the richer people, you know what it ties back to? It ties back straight back to the reptoids. Goes right back to them. All just to control, get more money.
conspiracy are ideas that lockdowns, mask mandates, and vaccines were tools of mass manipulation designed to create fear and compliance. Skeptics of the virus pointed to inconsistencies in information, such as changing guidelines from health officials as evidence of a cover-up. Theories varied widely, with some claiming the virus was a plot to implement authoritarian control,
Yep.
others suggesting it was a ruse to introduce mass vaccination programs or digital tracking through microchips.
Yeah,
Influential
microchips.
figures, including some celebrities
You know,
and
I might have a
political
microchip in me.
commentators, promoted these ideas, helping
I
to
was hit with the
amplify them on
vaccine,
social media
plus the
platforms.
boosters.
The conspiracy theory thrived due to
Because
the
the
fear,
booster was
confusion,
needed.
and
Oh, no, never mind, I
uncertainty
didn't get to
surrounding the
choose.
pandemic. Additionally, the pandemic intersected with existing anti-government and anti-vaccine movements, drawing in people already distrustful of institutions. The COVID-19 hoax narratives has had dangerous real-world consequences, leading to widespread resistance to public health measures, vaccine hesitancy, and even violence against health officials. Though thoroughly debunked by experts and backed by overwhelming evidence of the virus's impact, the conspiracy persists among certain groups who view the pandemic as part of a broader scheme to strip
Yeah.
away freedoms
It's always
and
the tip of
impose
the
control
iceberg
on
that they give us.
society.
Always
Thank you
the
very
tip.
much for watching this video, and if you
Alright.
learned something, make sure to leave a like.
I
Comment
did
down
learn
below your thoughts
something.
on
I already left a like. W video, W video. Alright. Go watch my other videos. Posted them yesterday, days before. I am gonna stop streaming for a little bit. I feel like I'm just gonna start focusing on YouTube and grow on YouTube, and then maybe bring everything over to Twitch after that. Alright. Peace.